You're saying that you weren't. I just want.
Yeah.
I run things back to make sure I got it right. You said that depending on whoever you ask, you were not allowed to have a bad day, and this is just me asking you as a human being aren't allowed to have bad days.
Yeah, it's like this amazing anomaly. Wait, no, why? Like, in that whole overly big deal. You got to solve it right now, and I don't, and I'm gonna find a way to internalize that. Sure, it must be something I did, or I just don't like the fact that you're not in a good mood, so I don't want to be. Just it's like, but what really gets me is these people have that capacity. But when they are there for that person, it's like they understand whoever it is that they're supporting can have a bad. That's why I say it. They can do it for that person. They struggle to do it for me because why am I in a shitty mood? Why am I having a bad day? It's like, yeah, we get though. We don't understand. It doesn't seem to make sense. It doesn't compute that it should be.
Happy, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to another wonderful episode of You Heard It Here with me, the TC Heard. And yes, you guessed it, I am House of Pufflepuff. I'm super excited today because we have a fantastic, fun fanatic. Oh, I did it. Oh, yes, I did it. It took me a little bit, but I did it. Guest today, and he goes by a lunatic, but I want everyone to say hello to Jermell Powell.
Hello.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm super excited you're here because one, I want to say I am very jealous of you, and I feel like you probably don't want to know why, and it had something to do with your intro. The alliterations that you come up with are absolutely phenomenal. You do it like no other, and before we get completely started, I just want to know, where'd you get that from? Yes, I'm drinking Starbucks and also tea out of my mug.
I don't know. So I'm definitely like, my style is definitely hip hop influenced, and then the hip hop that I'm in, like I definitely grew up on that boom bap and that underground. So I like a lot of people who are very lyrical. And then even when you talk about, like, every so often there's a newer artist that I can appreciate, and it was like, oh, like, yeah, that was clubby and whatever that stuff. But like, when you actually listen to that line, that was clever right there. So I can appreciate, like, I'm not a snob, not a musical snob. So it's like, in the process of appreciating it, and then it was like, as I started to figure out what works for me, I started trying to do some of that as well.
Okay. I love it. You and my boyfriend can do it really, really well. Only I hate when he does it because he uses it to beat me in conversations and also to in arguments. But it's a great skill to have. Yes, I just want to say I'm very jealous of it. No. But jealous in a good way, not like, oh my gosh, I would hate you, go ahead and die. Like, I wish I could do that. So let's get into this. Are you excited? I'm excited.
I'm definitely excited.
All right. So tell us who you are, a little bit about yourself. And we're gonna go from there.
Perfect.
And don't leave down the details because I want all the tea.
I got you. So we're gonna start this right there. So we're gonna start with this entire show. We're gonna start. We're gonna start with the reason that I'm excited. Besides, this is an amazing platform, brand new platform, and salute to where it's going. That perfectionist in you.
Oh,
it's going to go. You know what I mean? But as a creative. Especially as a podcast creator, what's going to happen today? I'm going to be on this episode. Then we're going to end this episode, and I'm going to go home. Right? Now, even though you're not heavy in the editing, and I'm in the editing a lot, but you're putting everything together. You're putting, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, thank you. Because I'm not doing any of that. I'm a guest. So thank you for half the work is out of
getting better. Yeah. I will say I'm getting better.
Okay, yeah.
Every interview at a time, I'm getting better. I'm learning to get my testimonials. Yep. Shout out to our mentor, Jeff.
Facts.
Because testimonials are important. Very. I am getting like before, after, like little shots and stuff and still shots, so that way I can put it on like the Thumbelina thing or whatever. Because I haven't hired anybody from Fiverr yet. I haven't made that $1 million decision to just go ahead and hire somebody yet. It's just until
starting early,
right? It's just until I get a little bit more income in, because that's real. Both of us as entities, as business as a business and also too as entrepreneurs, we know that sometimes like, oh, you could be having some money, then it just ain't coming in. But we're on the track of building it to a consistent level. But until that happens, then I'll get a VA or somebody else Fiverr. Right now, I'm learning all the tricks and trades.
There you go. There you go. All right. So that was the the backstory. Hi, hello everyone. My name is Jermell Powell. I was raised in North Carolina. I was born in California. I lived more places than that. And I'm like, but I currently reside in Maryland and have been here since 2016. And I'm in no rush to move.
Okay.
So this is home until it's not, you know what I mean? But I'm a real big fan of the area. I did my first actual spoken word performance in the exact same year that you did, 2010. I did the exact same thing you did. It was off and on, years and years. It was my first poem was terrible, and I don't know why people don't believe me when I say it, but it was. It's okay.
All of our first poems were terrible.
Yeah, that's not. No, listen. So I just was at one of the DMV open mics recently, and no, that young lady killed it. No, everybody wasn't bad. Everybody's not taking 1 year or 2 years to figure it out. I'm sorry, they're only taking 1 or 2 years to figure it out. It's wild. You know what I'm saying?
It's like something in the milk, child.
Right.
In the water. They just coming out and hitting the road.
Right.
Like, bam.
Right.
I'm like, I had a few slip ups.
Yeah.
I didn't say it was bam. It was like a pow. But it wasn't a bam. And hey, some of these young ladies and gentlemen are
just out of the gate with it, which is cool. So yeah, I've definitely I think that's what a lot of people know is my my spoken word, my poetry in this area. I do have an IT background. So I'm not a full entrepreneur yet. Yeah. Because what's interesting is like you know how like there's only a matter of fact, one of my coworkers, like 2 months into my job, 3 months into my job, he was like, man, that's an impressive podcast you had. I was like, why did you find that already? This is not, you know what I'm saying? So like there's only a matter of time before somebody's like, so when you said white women putting raisins in the potato salad, let me just have this HR conversation. So like I feel like my growth is going to have
to find that episode, but I'm not opposed to what you just said. Because that's not something that should be happening. That's abomination.
Oh no, it's not. No, I'll just be an awkward conversation too. Like I meant that. It's just why am I in trouble? You know what I'm saying?
No, you were absolutely 100% right. Raisins don't go in potato salad.
Right, exactly.
They may go in candy yam. I don't eat yams, but candy yams. Maybe trail mix.
You know what I'm saying?
Maybe trail mix, but not potato.
That's why they do. Anyway, so like so it's right, like there's only like the style of expression of who I am, it really doesn't go with corporate. Like that's just the reality. I have the brains to do that work, but I don't have the corporate America politics. And there's going to be a ceiling there. You know what I'm saying? Whereas being a creative, being a leader, being an entrepreneur, you set your rules. You take the risk, but you get to set those rules and get around the people for it works. So.
Oh, so I didn't know you were IT background. Also, too, like Javon Rustin, he's IT.
Yeah.
He's absolutely fine. He's phenomenal. The way that he be doing them poems, like he did that poem that one time by. It was I know algorithm was in the poem and something else IT like Python whatever.
Oh really?
But it was great.
I need to hear that.
I was rocking with it. There was something you said also too about like when your coworkers find you, when you're just like, hey, I'm just sitting at my desk on my cubicle doing my thing, minding my own this side business. And they're like, so you said this, that's actually pretty good. And I'm like, okay. Have they ever shaded you?
No, they just keep like I keep mentioning it. I'm gonna do this, so I'm going there. It's like, yeah, we gotta catch you one day. It's like, I don't know if you do.
Bruh, I hate we gotta come out and see you one time. And I'm like, my flyers aren't hidden. It's not like it's an encrypted file.
So those are two different, right? It's like, yeah, right. The lip service, that's corporate America, right? No, they can go ahead and they don't.
I'm not gonna lie. When my book first came out,
Yeah.
some of my coworkers at the time, they did buy my book. So I will. I'm not gonna shade them for that, and I
Right.
appreciate that for that. And they bought it. They like some full price. It's the I think I deserve it for free. I was like, I said in my head at the time, and we talked about this too. I was like, the only person I got a free book was my mother, but my grandmother, my aunt, everybody else paid for a copy. If I'm making my 82-year-old grandmother pay for a copy,
Right. Yeah.
no. If you support us, then you support us and you pay us.
Facts. Hey, shout out to artists. Audacity is at an all-time high.
Child, I would really like to know, because then I'm not gonna say they are this side, and all of them are this side, but some of them are a different shade of this side. And it's still like, oh, I should get it for free. And I'm just like, why?
Right.
No, we don't do this. Now, if I'm doing like a raffle or something like that, like we just did in one of my businesses, was a co-sponsor again for the second year in a row for the DMV Renaissance Awards. Within our raffles, like I gave away 2 books because of the stipulations. As a sponsor, I wanted also to donate, but that's a donation. That's something completely different.
Right.
That's not, oh yeah, I'm just go ahead and just keep giving out my books for free. The only other person I probably gave a free book to was my mentor, when I met her at the pink tie party in April, and I signed it for her, and she read it in a weekend. She loved it, and we've been working with each other ever since. And God bless that woman. I love her. Right. So my man's over here. So all right, now tell me since you said your first poem was bad. Tell me about your first poetry experience and how did that help you?
Right. So why was it bad? Because there was no editing to it. So it had the, it was necessary. Well, actually, I'm gonna get to that, but it was it was good, and it was foundational for where I am now. Because now these days it's polished. These days, my first draft tend to be a little bit better than that one. But yeah, I wrote some more. Got up on there and read every single word with no practice. So the irony is, if I'm not mistaken, because this happened. So first of all, this is a home-based poetry out of Phoenix, Arizona. This is where I started. This is where I came back to in July and featured. And it was just an amazing, wonderful full circle moment for myself, and they loved it. And these are people who, they've seen a lot of things, right? So when they tell you, oh no, you did your thing, you stood out, they're not just talking to talk. So I appreciate all of that. Now, with all that being said, I'm pretty sure back in those days, I was writing 2, 3 days, 4 days before the show. So I was getting good content, but I wasn't editing and I wasn't like practicing at all. So that one was literally no practice. I walked up with whatever phone was in 2010 at that time and just read. And I remember there was one point in my performance where they were like, "Ooh, that was fire." But then I kept going for 3 more minutes.
I'll leave the people wanting more.
You know what I mean? So and it was funny. I loved them for this. They gave me, we appreciate the bravery. We know you have to. And then they also clown me as only Black people know how to do both at the same time.
Yeah, I love us. I hate us. I love
you
us.
Know what I'm saying?
Put that, yeah.
So it's like I got both. It's like, don't you run from this, but also don't confuse yourself. Like, don't do this again, and don't do this somewhere else because it might not be. They might not be that nice. You know what I mean? So it didn't. I didn't take. Oh, this isn't ready. We got work to do. And yeah, and so years. It was years and years of process of progress. Now the other thing that kind of applies to all of my life, every progression in everything, was the fact that I knew I had depression that was identified since 2006, but it started in 2003. So that was 2.5 years where I didn't really know what was going on there. It was just it was 13 additional years up to the end of 2019 before I realized I had bipolar symptoms.
Wow.
And what ended up, the thing that did it is all those other years, there would be something not good in life. You know, I entered the workforce in 2009, and there was that whole what's it called? Um, when there's like the finance, you know, is every what is that called?
Quick,
It's called
said
it's gonna kill me.
2009 was my,
Recession,
oh,
recession,
okay, that was
recession,
my
recession,
junior year of
recession.
high school, honey.
Okay, so you weren't there. You weren't in no recession.
I was working, but
Oh, okay,
I had
right.
enough to pay my bills
Yeah,
and buy my Victoria's Secret.
it wasn't right. The number to be good in
Yes,
seventh
it was
grade
good.
is not the same as where we at now. So yeah, so it's recession and dealing with something right now. You know what I mean? So it's like there was always something troubling happening. So if I was in, I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm trying to deal with that. I'm trying to deal with this. 2019, I've turned a corner, and Thanksgiving with like my family's in town, work is going well, all this stuff, and I'm having a terrible Thanksgiving into a bad Christmas, you know, bad December. What's going on? What's the problem? So that's when instead of seeing a therapist, we said, well, let's go see a psychiatrist. We had, you know, conversation, asked some questions. And I was like, yeah, this seems, you know, some of these, you know, some of this is sounding more in this direction. We're gonna, you know, now we're taking medication. Now it's not just, you know, it's not simply, which I still do. You know, we need to write things out of your mind. We need the meditation. We need all these types of things. Talk it out. But like, as far as if it's like some kind of chemical situation, that's medication. You know, that whole thing that black people, again, I guess I'm gonna mention black people a lot, where we're just like pray it out, you know, drink it out, will it out. Like, nah, you can do that and
To your hideout.
yeah, yeah, right. Exactly. You can do that and this whole one or
Yes.
the other, you know, don't if I don't admit that I have this thing I have to address and it's not gonna be there, that's not how that works. You know what I mean? So that was huge. So all that to say, like, so imagine the type of writing that I'm doing and I'm not addressing things going on, but I'm trying to memorize this. You know what I'm saying? But I'm trying to get my energy right to go perform in front of anywhere from 10 to 200, anything in between. They're all nervous, you know, in their own right. So it's like, yeah, that's why 2021 like kind of turned around. Like that's a new level of poetry. That was this big hurdle boulder off my back.
And what you said that was just 2021 when you had found out?
2021 is the yes, 20 so the end of 2019 was the day like that epiphany appointment. Then 2020 was the first time I'm taking medication. Of course, that took some time. But then quarantine, you know, where it affected everybody different. It gave me time to focus in and lock in on something. So
Mhm.
my like when you talk about like my poetry journey, 2021, I hit this super like it's like I don't know, it's like you know if you those y'all seen either one of the Space Jam joints, like I took everybody, I took other people's powers and now I'm just level. You know what I mean? I got bit by the spider, spider man. You know that
I love that.
yeah, like that's it. It just was an ascension, you know, an ascension at a different level. You know what I mean? So
I want to dive. First of all, thank you for sharing that and being so openly honest with that
yeah,
because one, we definitely have to always acknowledge mental health, especially within the Black community, because it's still a taboo topic. It's
yes,
still very stigmatized, and even with taking medication, going to therapy, seeing whether it be a psychologist or a psychiatrist. And the difference is the
mm,
two is a psychiatrist can prescribe you medication.
hmm,
Um, Being so openly about that, especially as a Black man, like
hmm,
I want to applaud you for that because other people can see that mental health has no discrimination
right,
whatsoever and it affects really all of us. I want to dive into a little bit about that journey, if you don't mind.
absolutely,
Um, how was it communicating with your family that, especially before you kind of had the epiphany moment, the appointment of
right.
finding out that you had bipolar disorder? How was the communication during that time, or do you remember any of it? Was it a lot of like hush hush, or was it
Right,
like you're crazy, like those
right,
other types of phrases? Tell me a little bit about that.
right, right. So, so relationships were super tough because I mean, even right in 2023, a lot of people don't know how to deal with a significant
They
other
don't.
with these situations. So now compound that with like younger people. Like that's a lot to ask for somebody. And then, by the way, it's not like I'm saying this is I don't know what my situation is. I'm just laughing, joking all the time, and now I had this stank attitude for no reason. You know what I mean? So that was tough. Now with my family, it was the same thing as far as, again, I mean, they know me. I'm 40. They know me all these years. Like, all the, my humor, my wit, and all that. They know what happy and pleasant me looks like. And so, but then they get that other side where I'm just tired a lot, irritated, irritable easily, and then you compounding like I'm. We need to make some changes in my life to get on track of where I'm trying to go, and there are the days I'm trying and it's kind of struggling, and there's the days I don't seem to care. You know what I mean? It's like, what, there's a lot of not doing anything right now. You're doing a lot of sitting around, and there doesn't seem to be a sense of urgency type. So it was just not, not knowing a why, and me not being able to express it. I guess all you can do is go off of what it looks like, or what you think, and all that type of stuff. So it was contentious, but it was nothing that I really hold too much against them. It wasn't, deal with it anyway. It was just, we don't know what's going on. Something's up. We know that. Something's up. This isn't you. You're better than this. It's annoying, but something's up, right? So finally, yeah, that epiphany moment changed everything for everybody. Like, immediately they were like, "Oh, okay." There was not shame. We don't believe this is, because some people reject. They're like, I don't have that family. Like, there
That's
was
great.
immediate acceptance. So then what happened was, then we were all like, I don't remember what year, but one day the four of us, I have a sister, came together and had a conversation, because my mom has a particular situation. My sister has probably the most intense version of everything, all of ours. So we just all wanted to speak on our perspective, and everybody was hearing each other. Now, with my dad, he's from Alabama, deep South, and born in the 50s. Like, so he doesn't have anything, because I'm not talking to nobody on that stuff, right? But he accepts everybody else um, being transparent, whatever, vulnerable about ours. And he was just as participating in that conversation, as far as from a listening standpoint. So it's like, I'm here to support y'all for what y'all do. I'm not, doing that for myself. And it's like, all right, everybody handles life how they handle life, right? So it's like, at least it's not, I'm not going to acknowledge mine, and I'm not going to acknowledge yours. It's just, I'm not going down that path, the way y'all do it. But I salute y'all, are my family. I love you all, which he does, and he'll do anything for, and all that type of stuff, which includes being there supporting y'all as, in y'all journey. So I can salute him for that. I appreciate it.
How is he? Is that still the case? He's
Oh, yeah.
having
Today, yeah, it's
like just
it's just like, I think, yeah, the recession back on that it really affected them. I don't think anything the remainder of their lives will be that tough, and they made it through that. So it's like, I'm just gonna, I'm 72 now. Like, I figured it out. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna just navigate it. So it's like, I don't know. It's just kind of like, in a perfect world would you this or that, but it's also not abusive to where it's like, this must change. That makes sense.
That makes sense. And I think sometimes, because one, I know you say you're 40, but I still don't believe that. To me, we're still a lot closer in age, but I know that we both have had like experiences where I think, I don't know if you're hard headed, but I'm really hard headed, and it takes a minute to kind of like just really get it. But I applaud you for really sharing the part that a lot of people don't understand, that when you don't have a diagnosis, or you don't actually talk to a therapist, or you don't actually reach out for help, and you're just dealing with these things, like you said, it makes relationships, any, like, whether they're platonic or romantic, very hard, especially at a young age, because everyone's trying to figure out themselves. Everyone's trying to figure out what they're going to do or deal with or not deal with. But when you're trying to figure out, okay, like, what is it with me? What's wrong with me? and you still have that stigma around like, well, maybe I should go to therapy, but maybe that's for crazy people. I'm not crazy, but you feel crazy. What was that moment that actually, because I know you said you had the epiphany appointment. What was actually the moment that had you pivot and just take the leap of faith and finally go seek help? Deep question, huh?
Fantastic question, right? I wish I, trying to pinpoint it. So it's like I definitely so it's like, my life trajectory, as a kid, I was very, very active and like shameless. And then somewhere in middle school or high school, I became more shy. And I feel like it was natural. I think it was just like, I don't really like performing when I don't want to. And then in the mid to late 30s, I got, this confidence again to be in my spot because I'll do poetry all day. I still can't function in a club. It's too many people. It's too loud. I had to figure that out.
I don't either.
So, and I want to say that it did have something to do with the question. Just didn't answer the question. So I'm not gonna. I couldn't accurately just say, oh, I've never. I've always wanted to know what the problem is. I didn't care it was a problem. I do remember that this started sophomore year in college, so 2003, and just all of a sudden, I just.
Oh, no, I'm not laughing at you. When you said,
you
said 2003 in college, and I was like,
just in case you're right, it's adding up. I don't seem to be 40, but
no,
the math is
I just
mathing.
had to think about it.
What grade did you in?
Because that happened. That was fifth grade, sixth. I was in seventh grade because that was right. It was 2 years after September 11th. Now I was in seventh grade. I was in fifth grade for September 11th.
Right.
So yeah,
seventh grade.
You were in college.
Yeah, second year. Yeah, 14th grade. I don't think that's how that works. It's not this. Those are quite a few different years. But it's cool. You said, we both
I didn't
wrong.
mean to. I was like, I was laughing at you. I just the math. I had to do it in my head. And I was like,
the Kevin Hart died. Damn.
Yeah. I'm not calling you old. I want to make sure you understand that. I'm not calling you old.
This would have been, this whole thing right now could have been, if you would have just called me old like 2 minutes ago, we could have moved on. You're dragging it out.
That's fine. You got time.
Right. We definitely do. So I know, like, it was 2003. It was really weird. I was not sleeping well, but I was tired all day. I had no focus to do, like, the schoolwork type stuff. But I didn't necessarily want to do, like, I play video games. I didn't really want it. I was just doing it because I didn't really know what else. I didn't feel like anything. And so this happened repeatedly. And it was till 20, and I had seen a therapist. I'm not gonna say they weren't good. I just didn't catch it. But I finally saw one in 2006 that actually was a Black woman. Surprise. That actually, that helped me, like, exactly. That helped me put those pieces together. So I don't know. I feel like that just, maybe it was the fact that was 2 to 3 years of putting up with this. Oh, there's a potential solution. Sign me up. Like, maybe it might have just been that simple. You know what I mean? And then 100% where I'm like, by this time, I've fully embraced what's going on with me, but now there's something missing. Okay. First I acknowledge that. Like, I'm doing all these things and there's still a missing piece. Now we've identified that piece. Oh, it's medication. Sign me up. And the fortunate thing with me, mine is lamotrigine, and this is apparently, very, very light. So I think a lot of things that people hesitate on with medication, rightfully so, is like, don't give me like opioid type stuff. Don't give me something that I got to be hooked on and need. I'm not trying to do that. That I can respect, especially Black people. Like, I'm not trying to get hooked on nothing Western medicine related. Okay, cool. This is, by all accounts, not that. It's like level 1 of a potential solution for it to be good enough to have brought things down to a workable level. Like, I can function in most of those scenarios. Because, like, when did you? I didn't see you this weekend.
It was the weekend.
Yeah, it was a week
before that.
Prior. Shout out to CCAV back when we recorded this. This past weekend was actually trash, but I showed up to trap poetry on Sunday. Nobody would know. it was like, and that's what usually happens actually with me, like in the nighttime, in the evening time, that's when I'm in my peak, right? So that was it. I did what I did. Like nobody knew I had a absolute horrible Sunday, right? So it's about functioning with this stuff. You know what I mean? But back to your question, I think the fact that 2003, completely undiagnosed, untreated. By the time there was a option of something to do, I don't think that was, my ego was about to say, "Oh, you shouldn't." Like, no, this is a thing. There's a problem. From that standpoint, yes, I tried to take, prescriptions just to go to sleep. I tried that specifically. There were a couple of things that didn't work. That 2020, this lamotrigine not diagnosis, prescription that worked, and even then there was still we needed that plus that
Yeah.
the crazy wildest crazy story. 2022, I tried to give myself a trip to Jamaica. Do you know I flew all the way out to Jamaica, went to sleep, woke up the next day, spent the entire rest of that trip in the worst mood, didn't do a thing
Self vacation.
in Jamaica. What? I like how the scenery, the views, double entendre, that was supposed to be helping me. I didn't want to do anything. And then even when I got back, it was like another 2-3 weeks before I got back, right before we then got like, okay, this is like I am very much not not in a good spot. And then we did the supplemental or whatever. So it's like, yeah, it's not even right. Like now we're at a point so far where like this is covering
That's
90%
good.
of my days. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it was a little process.
There's nothing wrong with taking medication. Even like you had said, like sometimes it can be enough for a day, sometimes it can't. But it's like you gotta give yourself grace because when you at least know that you're dealing with an actual issue, you can put like a name to the face.
Mhm.
It's about navigating it because
Right.
it's not that you're crazy, it's not that you're weak, that you can't handle this. And I love how you said in the beginning, like especially within our community, it's all about like just praying in a way and it's done. Like I can tell you what, Jesus is always on the main line when I tell you he's coming through. But I pray. I have a therapist, and I also to notice the time and for the sake of my mental health because my panic attacks was just happening too much and hindering me that I needed also to the medication. I knew that would help me within my relationship and my communications. That you got to be able to make that choice for yourself, but just for the best of your health. So
Absolutely. I thank you. I
I
appreciate
applaud
that.
us.
I appreciate and so I'm glad, like I want to segue. So so I just so happen to have never had true suicidal thoughts. I do remember I used to have minor inconvenience slash harm thoughts,
Mhm.
particularly if I'm on the way to work. What if something, what if it was just a little accident right here? You know what I'm saying? I
Mhm.
just didn't have to go to work. You know what I mean? That would be, you know what I mean? Like I'm saying all this to say this. I reject fully this process that because mine wasn't as bad as hers, that I just because I was mentally stronger and because you didn't actually commit suicide, that you were mentally stronger than the one that did. I fully now what I will give grace to other people is like I've heard poems that like when somebody commits suicide, it does a lot to the people that love you. So I understand that. You have the right to feel a way about that, but taking it out on that person and saying, I'm mad at you because you should have this or that is unfair.
It is, and because that's why I love you because we always get real, and I love our conversation. I'll say this because I did a lot of stuff at that time. I was spiraling, um, and I had said on one of my other episodes the fact that I didn't really start loving myself until I want to say probably about 2 years ago. Um, During that time, throughout my entire high school, like through college kind of era, was really me just trying to figure out me. As I look back on it now, I can understand that those thoughts, and then even like I suffer, I well not still suffer from because it's still something I deal with. Is I have an eating disorder of bulimia nervosa.
Okay.
At the time when I look back at how small I was, I had to change my thinking of how I looked at myself, and I was just like, "You thought you were fat then," versus the person I see in this picture, yes, photogenic and stuff like that, she hit the mass. But when I think about the person I was at that point of how unhealthy I was all the way around and the things that I was hiding, that I can't say I want to go back to that person because that person is someone who did not know herself. She was looking for male validation. I was taking out the fact that I did know my father, the fact that I wanted my father to acknowledge me on my exes, on my mom, on my friends. I was taking that out on everybody, and I wanted the attention. But also, it wasn't just about the attention at that point. Me dealing with a whole person who was telling me that they loved me, but really his voice became my own voice and it just became that negative thing that stayed in my mind for so long. Of I wanted the voices to stop. I wanted to stop feeling so low about myself. I wanted to stop feeling like I just didn't belong and there were such what I can't say what was that was missing, but something just was missing and I couldn't escape the feeling of what is it? I wanted all of that to stop. There were some days I did think about what would it be if I just wasn't here anymore? Like I love how you said that there were people that I have lost some friends to suicide due to overdose and things of that nature. I never got upset with them, but I've had to correct people like it's not their fault. They didn't do it because they just wanted to leave you hanging or things like that. That's like that's selfish thinking. It's more about wanting whatever they're feeling and whatever they're enduring to stop.
Absolutely.
And there were also too, like you said, there were sometimes life was just lifing. And sometimes you don't feel like you can go through whatever it is that you're being hit at by life. And that's another reason why I had when I first started my very first episode where I said it took me about 2 weeks to get myself together, dealing with an injury and all the things that were happening at that time was it took me 2 weeks to get to myself, but not once did I feel like I just didn't want to be here anymore because now I've suffered through way worse.
Right.
A whole lot worse.
Right.
But that's overcoming the trauma. And it's also to not to say that we were stronger than the other one or our situations. Our situations are uniquely different. They may be relatable or similar in some ways, but everyone can have a different experience. Life is not about playing who has it worse.
Yeah. Struggle Olympics.
And I'm like, who wants to wear their struggle like a badge of honor? Like nobody has time for that. Like, and I think sometimes when people hear the struggles of others, like even though that we know, like, oh my gosh, you know what? I'm really tired. I don't feel cleaning. But then we're like, well, we're grateful because at least we have a house to clean. It doesn't mean that we don't feel empathy or sympathy for those people who don't have the things that we are blessed to have with.
Right.
It just means that we're dealing with a different type of experience.
Right. Right. No, that one happens all the time. Excuse me. The I don't know. It's fun, like, how are you doing? Well, you know, I mean, I'm all right. I could complain. I don't know. Sometimes I'm gonna complain. Like I don't.
That question so much.
Well, that's a completely. I think. I know
Let's get into it. Let's get into it.
So this one's shorter. Like the whole, people like, I could complain, but what good? Sometimes it is okay to be like, nah, this is trash. You know what I mean? This is something. This is not a good situation. But whatever. That doesn't mean the world isn't. It just means it's not a bright sunny day right now. I think where you're going, what makes it tough is the moment that your answer is anything but fine, the other person is usually into, well, now we got to solve this right now mode. No? Okay. So then where are you coming from?
I think we are conditioned to just, hey, how are you? 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 And we're conditioned to hearing, oh, I'm great. Right. I'm blessed and highly favored. I can't complain. I'm okay. I'm good. I'm wonderful. I'm super fantastic. Right. But when you hear, I feel like when humans hear anything outside of that,
right,
it becomes, oh shit, either I got a code switch or then I think the moment sets in, did you really care how I was doing or did you just ask it out of like politics or your conditioning or just necessities?
Right.
Because for the past every single day, how are you feeling? How are you feeling? How are you feeling? And in my head, it was just like, I sometimes trying to figure out how to say this very eloquently. Sometimes I know there are some people who actually do care and are trying to ask out of concern. However, those same people, when they were asking me constantly every single day, because like you, I didn't like being on the spotlight for something like that. If I'm going to be in the spotlight, let it be about my performance or about the fact that I was killing in sales. Let it be about some of that stuff. But the only time you guys were really showing me attention was just showing me attention for that. And it wasn't the fact that I didn't appreciate you asking. It was the constant asking, because I had like 50 people asking me and then asking me every single day. But then the moment I would say, I'm not okay, or I legit would just say I'm making it. But there was also moments where I couldn't exactly describe how I was feeling. And even now, there are days where I've left some offices that I've had to visit. How are you feeling? How are you okay? I'm like, in my head, I'm just like, well, I can be doing a lot better than now, but I've been better. And I'll just be saying I'm doing, because at the moment, that's all I'm doing. I'm making it through as best I can with what sanity I have left, with what is going on. But when I think they hear that anything else besides good, fine, or whatever, it becomes, I don't know how to solve this, but this makes me uncomfortable, because I wasn't actually expecting you to say anything else besides good or fine. And now I don't know how to deal with this feeling.
So I'm gonna just write. So I'm gonna exit stage.
Well, I hope it gets better.
Yeah. Which I don't. So it's like, I respect if someone knows they don't have the tools for it, more than we're gonna solve this in the next 5 minutes. I'm pretty sure if it was a simple solution, I'd have just solved it up, and then there wouldn't be no problem.
Very true.
So it's maybe this is a real situation. It's gonna be a while. Now I don't get, everybody doesn't have to then proceed to actually listen to me. I don't want to share it with everybody. So that part's fine. But yeah, this whole but with yours is exactly right. It makes me uncomfortable. And they've made videos about that, and I appreciate it. Like, I actually was just saying that's cool. You actually know it's not cool. You should just stop. You should ask a different question, the one that you give a shit about. But okay. You were expecting just fine, good. You didn't get that. All right, cool. Like, but yeah, that doesn't mean. But because it makes you uncomfortable to hear it for 2 seconds, asking me a question. I'm dealing with it.
That part, I'm dealing with it. I'm the one actually dealing with it and trying to figure it out.
Right? Them whole 2 weeks, the 24 hours, however long it doesn't matter if it lasted 30 minutes, and you just now heard about it. I've been putting up with this whole time prior to you it even coming up on your radar. So I don't, that part I don't give a shit about.
I do not ask that question unless
actually right.
Because this may sound very callous. I don't ask that question unless I'm prepared to deal with the response, whether it be good or bad. That's number one. Number two, I don't ask that question when I am not in a position to receive it, whether it be good or bad, because it's not the fact that I don't care. It's a practice of self-growth, self-love, and self-care for me, because I was the people pleaser. I was, like we had talked about, the one who seek validation, but I was the one out here trying to prove that I could earn someone's love, knowing that love is free. I don't have to earn anybody's love or anything like that. The only thing you would earn would be trust and respect. But because I did it so long, for, I want to say, at least the last 15 years or so, now it's, if I'm not mentally in the headspace right now, not saying, like, it may sound very like messed up or whatever, but if I'm not in the mental headspace to care, because I have so much other stuff on my plate, it doesn't make me love you any less.
Right.
It doesn't make me not feel for your situation, because I feel like within the past few months, you and I have gotten closer, like on just other conversations about just real shit. Outside of poetry, and outside of just performing and entrepreneurship. If I'm not in the right headspace to really receive what you're saying, because if I'm having a conversation with you, and if we're talking about like our real feelings and like real shit, I want to make sure that you have my undivided attention. And I am the fix-it person. I'm going to listen to you, and I've learned to ask, do you just need to vent? Do you just want me to listen, or do you want advice and how to fix it? I've learned those things with the people I choose to invest that type of time in.
Right.
But if I'm not in a space to receive it, I'm not going to ask you that question.
And I want you to not feel bad about that.
I don't.
Okay.
Not
That's not
anymore.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
feel
no,
guilty,
of
not
course.
anymore.
Of course. No, we have we are this journey. And I think, and that's weird. I don't know. Some people feel like I was this at 5, 10, 27. Like, no. That was, you know what I mean? So no, we have journeys, but like absolutely not. Like, you're not obligated to be everybody's sounding board at the exact moment that they want it to be, and sometimes not at all. Like, we come
Hmm.
all the way back to the family. Like, some of y'all gonna need to learn how to cook. You can't. Why are we putting this all on one person? You know what I mean? Like,
My aunt almost gave us food poisoning. Well, we can't go to her house. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
that's the solution. If you,
I
if
love
you,
you, but you, honey, you
if
can't
you
cook. That one time she served us a
that
frozen turkey and almost gave everybody salmonella.
leaning on you too hard harm them, and
Yes.
then they won't come back.
Yep.
Words of wit. No, that's terrible. So okay, maybe that was the best.
uh, tell me how, because I know that you're also to a father, right?
That is correct. That is correct. So my daughter is 7 years old.
Oh.
Um, so I knew, um, again, not origin, not really sure, but I did know at some point I was going to be interested in being a father. I also knew my parents was 31, 32 when they had me,
Mm-hmm.
and that's basically my situation. Actually, no, I was a little bit older. But I knew that was going to be a problem. Like we used to have, and I know women's situation can be different, but the biological clock, I want, and I need to be here by the. I need to be here. I'm gonna act like I didn't see her make that face and just keep talking. With 20 something, right? Like, that's not that wasn't a thing for me
Mm-hmm.
because I'm literally seeing a successful version of father at 30, early 30s. So I
Mm-hmm.
didn't have that person. Everybody else did. Oh my God, I don't know how many times you get around them certain people that's like, wait a minute, you're still single? Oh, this is my niece, cousin, my friend. It's
They
like,
start hooking you up.
yeah. And my thing, and on that, my thing is, y'all don't know me. You know me. Yeah, y'all don't know. You know what I'm saying? You know me. You know me from performing. You know me from telling jokes. You know me as a friend. You don't know me romantic. So
Mm-hmm.
you don't know who's the best fit for me at all. So that's why I need y'all to chill on that. Because then it's like, so if I have a close friend hook me up with somebody, we don't work out. Now that guy, that's weird.
Bruh, that's so annoying.
Yeah.
And I think you point out a very important fact too. Like, even though I had to learn this through a situationship that we're not gonna talk about. Seeing a person on stage and seeing them through like their comedy or their performance, like through poetry or singing, does not always equate to that person you're gonna meet off stage.
No.
I learned that the hard way.
Yeah,
But
I got you right.
yeah, but then they put you on this pedestal, and the
Yeah.
person that they see is like, oh, that's how they're gonna be in a relationship with
Yeah.
you. Sometimes we just be writing from a place that maybe we had, or we wish.
Right.
Or it was a reality.
Y'all gonna
But
make me do a 5-minute poem where I just walk up and don't say nothing, so that you can say, "Oh, he's now reflecting how he is in real life." I'm not talking all the time, rhyming.
everybody's spent.
I need, like, I'm at home. Relax. Do you know how many? Because you probably want to. You know how many very outspoken introverted poets we have? Like,
I am an introvert.
I know that,
We're
but I
both
believed
introverts.
it, right? But I didn't
No
know
one
it.
believes it because when
So this one I don't remember. So, or do remember, excuse me. So yes, father at what, 32, 33 or whatever, and that's been interesting. Without, that one I don't need to go into too far. I was married. We
Hmm?
didn't. Oh, you didn't know that. I was married. Yeah. So right around the time. So I didn't get married because we got pregnant. Like, we were on that trajectory, but like it definitely accelerated when Asa was born. So we got married, didn't make it 3 years. It was rocky, but ultimately, like, we are co-parenting. Like,
Mm-hmm.
the end of it, we are co-parenting. They were just in town. I'll be where they are. So that's the other thing. As of the summer, her mom actually took this promotion and she doesn't even live here anymore. They're in Atlanta now. So now I'm navigating, like I'm still fresh in the first few months of actually dealing with, like, no, they're not 30 minutes anymore. I never, like, when I moved out, I was never more than 30 minutes away. Like, that was paramount. Now I'm a flight away. Thank God for that.
Yeah.
I'm a nonstop flight away to a city that I know people in, and that's easy to get to and all that. So it could have been worse. It could have moved to Dakota. It could have moved overseas because she was in the army and now is in the military. They could have. She could have been like, I know this is tough, but you know what I mean. We could be trying to deal with that. So, yeah, you know what? It's something you did say a while ago. It's like, by the time at this point in life, there have been so many things that I've navigated and dealt with that my propensity, my ability to deal with stuff has gone higher. The stuff that affects me is not what it was. However, stuff affects me, and some
Yeah.
people don't seem. You would think, but some. Oh, you let that bother you? Why? Why? I don't know why somebody else feels like their litmus test of what should be okay and not be okay should matter to me. And when it happens the most is relationships. You know? Like I'm over here talking to I'm over here talking to a friend of mine. It's like, you get all of this. Those people.
I'm sorry. It was just the immediate stop. I was waiting for the next part.
Yeah,
It's okay. We need to take another swig before you finish. That's cool.
like she said, you still got to finish it. Hey, I was supposed to get out. I was supposed to be like commercial break. All right, that's fine. Nope.
Not here.
That just the tricky thing about choose people who like you and all this type of stuff is like, that wasn't who I first met. Like they like this person who is does not have emotional capability to actually be supportive of the black man on the 12 days out of the year, or shit, 50 days out of the year. It's still 360 of the year.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to
You're
cut you off,
good.
but I run that back so I could.
Okay, no,
I
that's
did
fine. I
not
do
catch
this all
it.
the time. This happens all
You
the time.
said they were not supportive. They couldn't be supportive just 12 days out the year.
I mean, however many, right? If I look at a year's worth of
At
time,
least 12. Is that what you were saying?
yeah. Oh yeah, I'm talking about like bad days that I have in a year's.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably more than that. But like, yeah. What's all you on?
That's heartbreaking, and
Oh,
you're
oh,
the
oh,
husband
yeah,
I
yeah.
want.
No, it's
That's why
factual.
it's
Oh, I
sad.
got
It's
you. I got you. I
sad.
got you. I got you. Yeah, no, it's factual. Like, no, if you, I mean, I guess that's the no, that's the problem. Like, I'm most of the time happy, jolly, checking in on everybody else, making jokes, right? Most of the time. Is it 365 out of 365 days? No.
No.
Am I allowed to have a bad day? It depends on who I'm asking. It depends on who that question is for.
Everybody has bad days.
Apparently, everybody else.
Megan Thee Stallion, I just reposted her thing
Yeah.
today. Bad bitches have baddays2.com. Like,
know why
that's real.
You know why she had to make? You know why she made that post? Because she had to make that post. Because when I see your music videos, like,
Yeah, it don't seem like you be fine, or
yeah,
you got
again,
money and stuff now, everything
that's
like that. But
I'm
y'all know how much backlash she caught before then, but especially since the whole Tory Lanez thing. But
yeah,
we're not gonna get into that.
right.
But I'm just saying, like, she was open about her anxiety. We are, even celebrities, they're people too. They deal with diseases and mental health illnesses and everything else, like we do.
Right.
But you're saying that you weren't. I just want. I run things back to make sure I got it right. You said that depending on whoever you ask, you are not allowed to have a bad day. And this is just me asking you, as a human being, aren't allowed to have bad days.
It's like this amazing anomaly, wait, no, why? Like, in that whole overly big deal, and we got to solve it right now, and I don't, and I'm gonna find a way to internalize that it must be something I did, or I just don't like the fact that you're not in a good mood, so I don't want to be just it's like. But what really gets me is these people have that capacity. But when they are there for that person, it's like they understand whoever it is that they're supporting can have a bad. That's why I say it. They can do it for that person. They struggle to do it for me because why am I? Why am I in a shitty mood? Why am I having a bad day? It's like, yeah, we get them. We don't understand. It doesn't seem to make sense. It doesn't compute that it should be.
Let me ask you a question. Partially, it's hard sometimes. I'm a Cancer. I ride for people I love and I care about.
Mhm.
And I can say as a friend, like, I care about you deeply. I do love you because you have helped me through some
I appreciate
situations
that.
and even through some moments where I was in my own head. But did your significant other at the time, were they aware of your mental health
No.
journey and stuff like that?
So I'll
Okay.
be fair to her on that. Neither one
Okay.
of us knew.
Okay. So
I'll
neither
be
one of you
fair to
guys
her
knew
on
on
that.
that.
Neither one
Okay.
of us knew that. N- and 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 it's not that's not no, it's kind of the same thing. That she's a great ear for good friends, but I don't think she ever would have been for her significant other because I don't think, and there's reasons for that that are valid reasons. I just think if anything in a in a perfect world, we would have just remained cordial. You know what I mean? Because that's never was going to be the person who is going to see a man or even her man, um, need that same stuff that her female friend needed, and
Mm,
say I'm gonna treat these the same or give the same, give that type of
mm.
energy there. And that's fine. So I'm not like with her, it's like, well, you didn't know and I didn't know. But like since relationships since then, I lead there. Not only will I tell y'all would I start the episode and say, oh yeah, I just got to I'm leading when I think it's somebody I'm talking to and it's probably heading this direction, you're gonna know that. You're gonna know that. Because we need to like, and it's not this isn't no switch. Which and that's what's crazy about this whole thing where Jermell is positive and happy go lucky all the time, so he's not allowed to have a bad day. Is not only am I not choosing this, I didn't wake up and choose. I didn't wake up and choose a bad day. This is chemically. I didn't choose shit. This has nothing to do with if y'all, if you will it enough, then everything that's just going on to just stop. Because once again, if that's all it took, I'd have removed it. I didn't choose to be feeling like this. So it's wild. Like and at this point in my life, I just have to it's really easy to identify those people and I just need to limit like it's not even like I gotta cut all them off. I'm gonna say y'all, you're not y'all. I almost had to cut all them off, right? I don't have to cut them all the way off. It's just, you like you're this level, this person's that level, this person's that level. Just meet them what they can do. I don't have to all or nothing everybody.
One, thank you for sharing because I love the fact that I heard another male's perspective.
Mhm.
I feel like sometimes we just want everything to be that cookie
Yeah,
cutter, snap
microwave.
perfect. We see it on Instagram. Oh, I see them taking a cute picture together here, here, here. So I want that. I want that. We don't see what goes on behind those closed doors and how they're actually supporting one another.
Right.
We just see what they choose to show. So I think for me personally, I think people nowadays don't know how to really just one communicate because we're always stuck to a phone. But when you have to do that hard on like this type of communication, like face it head on, verbally communicate, get through the problem, but also to have to give not only yourself but other people grace. A lot of people aren't equipped to do that.
No, that's just yeah. That's they're definitely not equipped. Let me ask you a question. So you enjoy the phone, you enjoy when you enjoy communicating a lot, and then your significant other not so much. He compromises, and that's great. Where do you sit on as far as I like to talk on the phone a lot. He doesn't necessarily like to, so I'll find other people to do that. Or do you feel like, well, this is my man, so he should be the solution to the thing I
I
want?
did in the beginning.
Okay.
I did in the beginning, and um, when he's here to tell our story, there's some stuff I can't tell. Um, but we do a lot of our relationship right now relies on like the phone or texting because we are long distance.
Okay.
And even though we both said we weren't gonna do long distance, we for the right person we end up and we make it work. So we're 3.5 hours apart from each other. It's not like I can just get up and go if something happens and then come back and vice versa. So we do like 1 month like there or back and forth, or sometimes like I know like this past summer it became him coming here a lot more because we had different events like my birthday and then his family reunion. But I had to find the balance, I want to say, and I'll say after around like I want to say June or so, and that's kind of like the halfway mark of like actually when we had started dating, was I had to find the balance of it's not just me, and it helped with therapy, talking it through therapy.
Right.
So I did talk to my therapist about it. That I can't take it personal because it's not about me. But I was also dealing with my own work stress that was still I was letting spill over into my relationship that I had to communicate to him about, but also had to kind of really just reflect on me. And I was just like, because like most men just want to fix it, fix it, fix it. I had to really, as corny as it sounds, sit down. And he always tells me I'm doing my therapist voice, my therapy voice. I'm like, what is it you need right now? But we both asked each other that question. It's like, what is it you need right now? I will say there was one moment a few months ago where which I had talked to you about, like that when that blow of life had hit. It was during a time where it was his week off, and he really, really needed it because he's been dealing with a whole lot of stress at his office, and he just was looking forward to this week by himself. Well, we couldn't control it. That same week is when I had got that blow of life, and so I had went to him because for me it was just like I needed comfort. And in that moment, I was seeing red. I don't see black. I see red, where I don't really remember anything. And for me, it was just like that. At the time, he's really honestly, even as a best friend, he's the only person that the past few years could really bring me down and like calm me down. So when I went there, and again, we communicated to this, so I don't want people like to make this out to something that it was not, because we've moved past it, and we talked about it. But when I went there, I didn't get the same type of reaction and comfort that I was expecting that I normally would get in these moments, because he was dealing with something of his own self. But I felt it, and I was like, I said, am I in your space? Like, am I crashing your space? He was just like, no, the first day. By like day 3, after we were kind of snapping at each other, and I just felt like I was walking on eggshells, but also too, I was just crying every 5 minutes. We were trying to like watch like Marvel or something, like just to get our minds off of it. For me, I like to watch funny stuff to kind of take myself out of it. For right now, he likes to watch The Wire, which we talked about, or like something else.
Right.
So we weren't really meshing then, but also too, I didn't know like what he needed to be there for me was his solitude, his alone time, his reset, but also I know that him being that far away, he's he's thinking about what are the solutions for me and what can he do by being this far, because we have this large distance. So I will say there's a lot of compromise for both ends, but we have always made it a front that whatever we're doing right now is just the sacrifice for the life that we're trying to build together. Because we know that this is it. I don't have time for that. There's nothing out here besides tragedy and lemon pepper wings, let me tell you. So, but there are moments where it's like, if I talk to my therapist about it, yes, but he has forced, not I don't want to say forced because that sounds bad, but it is what it is. He's forced me to become a better communicator. But it's for the sake of not for the foundation of our relationship. And I appreciate that about him, because he's taught me that, even though I always would like, like we were best friends, I will always be telling him, I'm like, hey, look, bro, this, I was like, he don't tell me. He could just tell me what he wants. Da, da, da. But now, as we became partners, I realized, okay, yeah, they had something to do with that too. But I never opened up my mouth and spoke up either. And sometimes, like in the beginning, when stuff would bother me, I would let it fester. But now we don't let it fester. We're just like, either we take a step back for a second, and it's just like right now, it's just not a moment. Let's just talk about this later. Or we'll actually just like, okay, let's just talk about it now and what's bothering you. Or if we have to get it out sarcastically, because that's just our communication, then we'll do that. But I'll say, as a person who actually wants a healthy relationship, you have to be willing to, one, accept your partner for their flaws and alls, and understand that not everything's about you. I'm very spoiled. I showed up this way, so I had to, I had to understand that not everything's about me,
Right.
and also think about somebody else, because when you've been single for a while, and then you have to think about consider somebody else's feelings. It's not being selfish. It's just the reality of the situation of, okay, it's just not about me no more.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't, and I have to get like I've been like there's a new reality, there's a new habit that has to be formed. Like so, I appreciate I appreciate the transparency that in general. One of the things that I feel like is going to be challenging, in this whatever next relationship I get involved with is I'm not looking for a me. So I don't need somebody that likes to play video games a lot. I don't need somebody to go to the same type of concert I went. Being that I'm not looking for me, I'm not I'm not signing a contract that says, but I'm gonna run off and do everything you like to do. So
Yeah.
but then also I'm not territorial. So my thing is the things that make you happy, go do the not go do those things.
Yeah.
If do those things means it's us, great. If do those things means that's not really my thing, but it's like, you're a group of friends. It can even be the guy, like there's respectful guys and then there's guys on bullshit. If it's your respectful guy friend, go do like I don't have a problem with that. But some people interpret that as he doesn't care. He's saying go off and do that thing because he doesn't care about it.
I think it's a boundary.
So
I'm sorry.
somebody right. Here's the thing, right? And this is why I'm like, 'cause we don't, yeah, there's 3 million billion people in the world, right? Now, all of them, some of them are kids, right? So we're not gonna cut that off. All that to say is, no matter how much dumb shit I've dealt with, it only needs to be one person that I figured out that this is gonna work with. So I'm not. I think that's why I'm not sick of black women. I'm not sick of love. I'm not all y'all. I'm not even all y'all Arieses or your Cancers. I'm not even all y'all, island. You know what I mean? Like that situation doesn't have anything to do with everybody. Otherwise, I wouldn't fuck with you. As soon as I heard you were just what you were, what?
I forgot. Wait, are you a Leo?
I'm a Leo.
That's right. But you're one of the very few Leos I get along. I think I get along with male Leos. My mom is Leo, and that's what I told you. That's like we just.
I mean, like, yeah. Yeah, if I cut
I
off,
like Miko too, but also
right?
too, she's not my mom. So, but I like her as a Leo too.
Yeah, right. So yeah. So now I can't cut off. I hear it when I hear it. I'm like, oh, but I'm not. I still got to see that. I still got to see that person, meet that person. All to say, so there's nothing about telling my stories about that is me giving up. Far from it. Far from it. You know what I mean? Like I just know it's easier now to say like, okay, this is going in that direction. We're not about to. Season 3 ain't gonna be as long as season 1. Like I already seen this. Yeah, fast forward. You have a good one. You know what I mean? So, but
would you consider yourself successful within like your mental health journey or transformation that you've made so far?
100%. And I think the best thing for me to why I can say that's just is because I'm not at an endpoint.
Yes, I love that. It's not an endpoint.
That's so, and that's not what success is going to be measured in this case. Success is going to be measured in not being complacent, like continuing to work, continuing to acknowledge what I need to do, continuing to try to put the other people in my life in a position to be like, this is how you navigate when I'm here. Some of y'all just quiet. Some of y'all, you have more capacity. This is what you can do. But like, we're not as much as I know. I'm sharing. So I don't want to say there's no surprises, but I'm not just hiding stuff from shame, and I'm being around people that I trust that I feel like can still, help me get through or help me. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, just from that standpoint of saying like, no, this needs to be worked on, and that's okay, and it's okay to put myself in situations to help me be my best self and also mitigate when it's bad, which is why one of the reasons I need to be an entrepreneur is because you can't just tell me, oh, just wake up at 8, start working at 8 or 9. Some days it's not gonna happen.
No, bro, no, it's not.
And so that's not right. If that's not the social contract, it's cool. A professional contract is cool. But in corporate America, that's how that works. You know what I mean? So like just that, that alone, I'm setting myself up in the best position to succeed. And part of that is acknowledging that my situation ain't their situation. Like, this is me. This is who, my pluses, my minuses, and let's move accordingly.
Okay. I respect that, and congratulations on your journey so far. So we have a tradition here at Your Heard It Here podcast, is that we want you to tell all of our listeners and all our viewers in our community, what is it that they are only going to hear here on this podcast? And I mean, it could be something that you've said, something you want to make up, or just another piece of nugget and advice, even if it pertains to anything, whether it be entrepreneurship, being a father and a parent, or an artist, or leading in your mental health. What is it that you want to tell them that they're only going to hear here?
I appreciate that the conversation that we had was a Black man and his perspective, a Black woman and her perspective. And there were plenty of points where they weren't the same, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, is, what you all got to hear, two different perspectives. But at the same time, please don't confuse it like I was speaking for us, she was speaking for y'all.
I'm not.
Because we're not, because we're not a monolith. I'm not your prototypical Black male, all that, whatever y'all consider that, which is silly as hell. So there's that. I think that's the difference, because it's like a lot of these things I would repeat, but this was cool because I got to have that dialogue, and I got to, and there haven't been, even like my podcast, there have only been a couple episodes where we were actually differing in opinion. Usually it's not. It's more just all conversation. Really me just letting them brag on themselves. So I appreciate that, and I feel like that the way our dialogue happened allowed that to be said. Another thing that I'll just say that I'll make exclusive, because I keep telling people I need to have a book supposed to come out this year. I think this is probably the only time that I'm a put myself put this extra pressure on myself. If this book is not released at the conclusion of 2023, December 31st, 2023, what's a number that means something? Like, what's a special number?
13.
Ooh, that's way too many. So we're going to say...
I'm going to say, ho.
All right, go ahead.
I'm going to say, push it a little farther. And I'm only saying that is because I just did it this year.
So I'm gonna let you give me.
I'm gonna say by next summer, 2024.
Oh, well, definitely. Okay, you know what? Then we're gonna stick with 13.
Only because of the things that you will not be able to control.
Right. Which I get that. That's cool. But the summer, that seems fair, because like the content is there. So now it is all the bureaucracy and all that other stuff that I don't know.
I'm just talking about the logistics part.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say.
That part that you're not going to be able to control, and then when it doesn't come the day you want it to come, then you gotta go, hey, I'm sorry, I know you did this order, but it ain't here yet.
Whatever though. I'm still gonna say this. He gave me to next summer. Now 13 is in the play.
So you have until what the summer start? The equinox. So June.
Oh, we're gonna do the whole.
So June 22nd.
Okay.
It's the first day of summer. So June 22nd. You have until June 22nd.
If it's not released by then, we're gonna do some 13 of y'all. We're gonna do some kind of raffle, whatever. And 13 of y'all that want it are getting a free one.
It'll be released by then, because he has.
It will be right now. I'm like June. Oh, okay. But so I kind of wasted your time. But it sounds good. Doesn't it sound good?
It does sound good. But I also too want to make sure, like you said, because we're going into the holidays, and the holidays can be up and down for anybody. Thinking about our mental health, and also too, just as from a creative standpoint, like the deadline is good to give yourself, but when you give yourself too much of a close deadline, then you try to force stuff and it may not come out the way you want it. And then sometimes you can get overloaded and just like, I don't want to do anything, so then stop. So that's why I say until June 22nd. That's the deadline. How about this? That's the deadline I'm going to give myself as well for my next book to come out. Is June 22nd, 2024 is when we're going to have our first book from you, and then my second book from me, and then I think it's a good deadline for both of us.
There you go.
So that's what you've heard here. So as always, we want to thank our special guests. Thank you so much, Jermell, for coming. And how can we follow you? How can we support you?
Yes. So artistically, I'm active on Instagram at Alonatic. That's ALONATIC. I almost spelled that wrong. There's going to be a lot of the poetry, a little bit of the personality still. I have a website for, we didn't talk about tutoring, so all good. I have a website on tutoring. It's www.alonehighway.com. I'm supposed to have 2 websites. Unfortunately, everybody doesn't care about professionalism the same way that we do. But when they finally come out, no, that was shit. I don't care. Because I didn't call them by name. I could. Anyway, when those come out, they will be www.smartdumbpodcast.com, and that will be the information for my podcast. And then there is also forthcoming www.alonatic.com for personal branding pages. So for now, Alonatic at IG, and we'll reference to those other ones.
So as not only just a fellow participant in the winner circle that we both are, for
Shout
a
out
shout
to
to our mentor, Backpack Jeff, who has been phenomenal, and
Thanks.
also to letting us use the space and just been very instrumental and strategic in our lives and being intentional of how we build our brands. All those websites are going to be up probably by the time this post. Okay, so we already got that. So that's going to be up. So we'll have this all in the bio as well, so that way you can follow Lunatic, and also to support his mentoring and also to tutoring as well.
Yes.
And it's going to be great. So yes. I want to thank you again. We'll make sure to follow our lovely guests. Follow me at the TC Hurt. That's THETC as in cat. Heard like you heard something, conjunction, junction, what's your function? It's been another wonderful episode of You Heard It Here, because you got some great gems. Let us know in the comments. You can also hit us up through IG or comment below in the videos. Like, subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Please subscribe, and share this episode if you got some gems, which I hope you did, because if you were not listening, then I don't know what you were doing. Right. So let us know what you thought, good or bad, because we respond politely. Well, we will.
For y'all, yeah.
So thank you so much. And whatever you do, have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, but whatever you do, have a successful and phenomenal day, and we'll catch you next time. All right. Happy hello. It's me, VTC Hurd, and I'm here to remind you to make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel and the podcast You Heard It Here. You can do it on YouTube and Spotify, so make sure you hit the subscribe button. Please and thank you, because why? You want to hear more content, don't you? Of course you do. You want to hear me? You want to hear the folks I'm going to bring on here? And it's going to be great. So we'll catch you later.